Well, hello, everybody. Here we are again for another episode of How to Be a Texan. How you doing, Tim?
It's awesome to be here tonight.
Is it really?
It's amazing, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Andrew, how you doing? Yeah.
Tired.
Tired.
You're a young man.
Me and Kevin are almost 50, but we're doing good.
50.
Young man.
Number between 49 and 51.
There you go. All right. So, hey, tonight we're going to talk about gardening. Now, before you go to sleep, because this could be seen as kind of a boring one, right?
I was going to read the planting schedule from the Farmer's Almanac for the next 55 minutes. If the moon is waxy.
And then I thought, as our listeners are asleep, I'd quote the Canterbury Tales prologue. Juan Lataprile. I still remember that.
Have you ever actually read any of that Farmer's Almanac stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It says stuff like if you plant the seeds during this period and the moon's in this, then your seeds will disintegrate in the ground and die, and you will get nothing. And apparently I've hit on those every time. I've never grown much of anything.
That's why I suck so bad as a gardener. So anyway, gardening in Texas. So yet another random topic for you. This is not a Texas legend. This is another lifestyle issue. I'll give you that one. So, yes, Kevin and I have dabbled in gardening for years. I have for a long time. My grandmother gardened in Oklahoma, and I just grew up around a garden, and I value it.
You're much more disciplined with it than I am.
No, I suck at it. I really do. But I
again,
try
you're much
hard.
more disciplined than I am. If you suck, I really suck bad.
Well, I try, and I appreciate it. My grandmother, if she were still alive looking at my garden last year, my gosh, she'd be so disappointed at me.
Oh, yeah. Compared to that generation, we're losers.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? Going back to our Blue Zone episode, I wanted to tell you this. One of the traits that they say, and so this, I'm telling you, we should get more serious about our gardening. Because one of the traits that was pretty consistent in the 5 blue zones was they were typically gardeners. They were agrarian by nature. And especially in Okinawa, the centenarians there spent significant time per day really caring and manicuring the garden. And it was, and you know what it did for them? It was a stress reducer. It was something where you can just focus truly menial tasks of your pruning, you're getting weeds out, you're making sure that your garden is kind of pristine and in good order, and your plants are growing just like they should. I mean, I wished I could say I did
That's the part where I really fail.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm good at kind of getting everything, tilled up, soiled up, planted, off on a great start, and then I don't do squat with it after that.
Yeah. And then
I just peek out there every once in a while, see if there's tomato. Go grab it. Fight through the weeds of the jungle. I got a tomato, Kendra.
Got one for the year.
We got one baby tomato. We're going to slice this thing up in little tiny slices and put it on a little tiny hamburger.
Yeah. Congratulations there. No, but I believe that. And back to one of our other lifestyle episodes that I think we fail as because our pace of play is so fast here, and I'm so busy that I don't have time, or I don't create time where I can just go out there for an hour or two and manicure my garden, because that's really what you need to do. The planting and the harvesting, those are the kind of the sexy fun parts. If there is such a thing for gardening.
Sexy gardening.
Sexy.
You get out there in your thong and your Daisy Duke.
So disturbing. Me in a thong. That's a good one. That's by accident if that ever happens. Amy didn't do
my
the
garden. I'm going to hoe some things up in the garden today.
Where'd that voice come from? That's
your voice in the thong voice.
No, I hope not. I've never seen that voice before. Anyway, so we do garden here in Texas. Obviously, we do a lot of farming, and this is, as Andrew would call it, kind of mini farming, but we definitely.
Andrew doesn't call it mini farming.
Yeah, okay.
What's the term you used, Andrew?
Mini farming. I was paying attention.
I thought it was a little.
I was locked in to our millennial.
A little more derogatory than that.
Yeah. So, Hey, so here, I do have a history of this. So my grandmother, she was up in south central Oklahoma, and every year I'd be with her and I'd help her till and manicure, and she just grew these amazing, whatever she wanted to, she grew, and it was amazing. And that's what we ate every night would be something, and she would keep it throughout the year. She would figure out how to jar it or preserve it, or I don't know how she did all that stuff, but she'd keep it. Mm-hmm. And so all year it seemed like she had stuff out of her garden.
Yep.
And if she'd pickle it or she'd jar and put vinegar, Anyway, but she made the most of it because, again, she grew up in she made it through the Depression, and that's what they did is they grew their own. And then they had their own kind of meat sources. They had the chickens for the eggs and meat there, and then their cows and pigs for, So I'm not saying that's where I'm trying to go to, my own little, deal, but I like that. I like being able to say I've got a garden and I can create my own produce, kind of.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm really good at it, and sometimes, I'm not.
No, my grandparents on my dad's side did a lot of that too. Yeah. And more so before I was around, really. But, you've accused me of having kind of a obsessive-compulsive personality.
I would never do that.
Just going all in on things.
You tend to do that, yes.
So my dad tells a story of his dad, my granddad. And he decided one year he was going to plant some cantaloupes.
Oh.
Planted 2 acres.
Oh. That's a lot.
2 acres of that's a lot.
That's a lot of cantaloupe. Those have runners.
My dad was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's like, I got 2 acres. I'm planting nothing but cantaloupes. We're going to have cantaloupes. And we're going to take cantaloupes to the farmer's market. We're going to eat cantaloupes. So, 2 acres of cantaloupes.
Did he get a bunch?
Oh, he got a ton.
Oh, my God.
He got a ton.
Those are truckloads.
Truckloads. Literally, it was truckloads of cantaloupes.
Oh, man. I had some cantaloupe last year.
Did you?
I threw some down just for fun, just to see if I could do it. And just out of nowhere, they came up. And some of this other stuff I was really working on and trying to get, it didn't come up. And then randomly, I had about 3 of them. And they had these big, long runners, and they grew this big fruit. And
that's one of the things that we were actually successful with a couple years ago when we did it was some cantaloupes.
Yeah.
And they're cool because they're not like the,
right,
big bloated ones at the grocery. It's kind of like a little more compact, kind of heirloom looking. Really good too.
Well,
we did some watermelons too. Did you do any watermelons?
I've tried and failed.
We had watermelons and cantaloupes in the same bed together because they both kind of vine like that in the same way. And we had several little watermelons too.
You know what Kathy did next door? She grew a watermelon in her compost pile. They had some watermelon seeds. They just eaten some watermelon.
Yeah.
And it came up. And she got some watermelons.
She threw it in the compost pile. Yeah, that's cool.
She got some watermelons out of her watermelon plant in her compost pile.
That's cool. That's cool.
Random.
So the things we've been successful with, and it hasn't been much, but cantaloupes, watermelon, we did pretty well with that. Okra.
Yeah.
Okra will grow, and I love okra.
I do too.
Tomatoes, pretty decent. We can do better there.
Boy, that's hit or miss.
Yeah. Jalapenos, we've got some decent jalapenos in the past.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And then herbs. Herbs grow like weeds.
They do.
We don't ever have an issue growing herbs.
So I put a few categories together for things that we can grow here. And you can grow a ton of stuff here in Texas. We've got a long growing season. And going back to kind of that Farmer's Almanac, that really is kind of the gospel for telling you when to plant. Mm-hmm. And I've had real success and epic failures by when I didn't abide by what the Farmer's Almanac. And you can go online; it's free. It just says if you're in this zip code, plant here, and you have an 86% chance of it not freezing. And that's the key, because when you put it down, you've got to know. And
really is the key. Is just when the last frost is.
Yeah, and we never know. Based on the the time periods that the Farmer's Almanac has measured. They've said you've got this much of a percentage chance that you're not going to freeze. Generally, people think around Easter. That's when you can plant in Texas. And I'm not sure that's really the case, because I've done that. I've waited until then, and it's still frozen in late April or what. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but it kills all that stuff. But a few things. We'll get into some of the geeky things about that I like, or kind of garden layout and preparation and all that stuff in just a bit. But some of the things that you can plant and kind of know are sure things in Texas, if you kind of do take some care and spend some time on it, are the tomatoes, or at least this is my personal, here's testimony about gardening. Tomatoes, green beans, squash, zucchini, cucumbers, and okra. Those are kind of no-brainers.
Squash we've done a lot of too. Squash and zucchini. Yep.
I killed it last year with zucchini. Like I had so much of that I literally couldn't give it away.
Oh, I remember. You gave us a lot. Oh, we had to stop.
Yeah,
we told you to stop, and then you would still drop off random bags of zucchini. I'd come up from work and be a random bag of zucchini. Like, Kyle struck again.
Yeah. And I'm just randomly giving a bag to a hobo on the street of zucchini.
You grew a lot of lettuce one year, I remember.
Yeah, I did.
You grew a lot of lettuce that one year.
And if you have that, you can almost plant that right now. Still in the winter months, and it starts growing, and it can maintain these freezes, and it'll start growing. But then once that summer heat hits in, that mid-June heat, you're done. So it just burns up. But the sure things are the tomatoes, and I say sure things. It's not a sure thing. You talk to all these old farmers, and they'll say, "Oh, well, it's every other year, or it depends on the acid in your soil, and you really need to check the pH level." All that stuff around tomatoes that I don't know.
Well, then that's the difference between true farming and what we do as gardening.
Right.
Our gardens are so small that we can bring in compost and dirt, and I mean, the soil's not really an issue. We can bring in whatever we want because we're not doing, 100 acres of, actual farmland.
No, that's right. But for me, it's important because Amy loves tomatoes and our family does, and everybody loves tomatoes. So they want you to grow it. And I had a real subpar. I only had 2 last year that really did well, and a couple. But I had 18 plants, and they all just sucked. So. It was just so frustrating, but I killed it on all this other stuff. And but what I call kind of sketch crops, I've got 2 that just drive me crazy: corn and asparagus. If you're not like
I've never tried either of those.
Oh, I have. Corn, unless you're like a legit farmer growing corn, you shouldn't even waste your time because it's all this male-female stuff, and it's all a matter of the pollination of the sexes, believe it or not, between their different.
But you got bees and stuff now to pollinate all that. So.
Even my bees, they can't help the corn. It's all a matter, and they say because if you put them in a line, it's no good. But if you put them in like a 4x4 real dense patch, if you put them in these dense 4x4 patches, then you're going to have way better luck because of the cross pollination with the male and female parts, which is weird. And I've even tried that, and it's been, I gave up.
The Three Sisters is something that I'd like to try.
What's that?
Three Sisters is how the Indians used to grow it. And the Three Sisters are corn, squash, and beans. And those 3 work together. I mean, the Native Americans were genius farmers, especially down in Mexico.
Yeah, they were.
The Mayans and the Aztecs and whatnot. The corn grows tall, which provides the trellising for the bean stalks to grow on.
Oh.
And then they would plant the squash because that's low, and it would kind of serve as a mulch to.
I'll be.
And those 3 apparently is just like the perfect combination in our climate here in Texas.
I need to go research.
In Mexico and what have you.
Maybe I can do that this year. Cause
I was going to try giving that a shot just for fun.
Yeah.
Just to see.
I try all kinds of stuff. I'd love to try that.
But it's the Three Sisters.
Okay. And then the asparagus is another one that drives me crazy. It's got basically a 3-year runtime. You've got to kind of commit 3 years to get the kind of the mature asparagus plants, and I just don't have patience for that because I just till it all up and start over.
I didn't know about the 3-year thing, but I did know that asparagus is only good for a small sliver of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And you eat it when it's in that sweet spot, and outside of that, you don't want to mess with it.
No. But what I consider some other kind of sketch crops, at least for North Texas, it may be better down in South Texas.
What do you mean by sketch?
That it's hit or miss. You just
it's
don't
kind
know.
of sketchy.
There's something funky about it. Corn and asparagus, to me, are just a pain in the booty. But the other ones, for me, are beans, peppers, and cauliflower that I've had some success. But anyway, and then herbs, like you said, they're great. Watermelon and cantaloupe are real hardy. But then I planted some other kind of weird ones over the years, and they've had some success. They grow crazy good. I planted these tomatillos, And that thing,
oh, really? I didn't know that. I love tomatillos.
I couldn't kill it. I mean, I tried to kill the thing, and I could not kill you. It's like these massive bushes that come up and billions of tomatillos, and I have no idea what to do with tomatillos.
Oh, dude, make salsa out of them.
See, after talking to you and Carlos, now I know.
Yeah, tomatillo salsa is the best.
I had, and it's
we'll throw them on the grill out there.
Yeah. Well, hey, we
grill
can
them up, make
we can
salsa.
grow it because I grew it like crazy.
Huh?
And now
I had no idea you were growing them.
Now they come up wild.
Did you ever try to eat one? What'd you do with it?
I just threw them all away because I didn't know what to do with it.
You're like, this ain't a tomato. It looks like a tomato, but this is a weird tomato.
It's a weird tomato. Poncho got me to grow it, and I didn't know what to do with it.
And then he died.
He died. He did die.
That's unfortunate.
Rest his soul. I've grown kale, Swiss chard, and spaghetti squash before, and those are kind of weird and funky. Everybody loves kale. It's the yuppie thing to do is everybody eat kale. Mm-hmm. Kale doesn't taste that great, but our turtle likes it a lot. And then there's some winter crops and fall crops, but, that's your own thing. But anyway, my favorite stuff.
What about potatoes? You ever done potatoes?
I've tried it. Yeah, I've tried it. No, limited
no
success.
Luck?
Limited success. Yeah, Kathy,
regular or sweet potatoes?
I've tried to grow the sweet and failed, and I have grown the regulars.
Yeah.
And those are okay. My grandmother grew them like crazy.
Yeah.
And they were awesome.
I had to go pick potatoes on a kind of a actual farm one time when I was a kid.
Oh.
And it was horrible.
Oh.
It was horrible. I didn't realize what I was getting into. I was with my cousins. They were like, hey, we got to go pick potatoes. And, dude, it was all day, sun up to sundown.
I think it's hard work.
Digging down in the dirt, breathing, inhaling.
Oh, yeah, just all that dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the potatoes were amazing. By the time we got done with it, I was like, oh.
I'll tell you what, I had a doctor out in Baton Rouge I worked with, and he grew sweet potatoes. And they were amazing. I mean, he'd bring it. You talk about truckloads that he could grow in his garden. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
And I've never really had luck with that, but I'd love to try.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, here's the part where I kind of geek out because, a long time ago, I lost my man card when I went to Pinterest. Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm the one that took the man card.
I think you did.
We were at a small group meeting, and all the ladies were talking about Pinterest, and you were like, yeah, well, pin me on that. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Pinterest is amazing.
It's like, what, you got a Pinterest account?
I got one a long time ago.
We never did start the website I suggested called Mantrist for men. Mantrist.
Well, maybe somebody
pin your pictures of your deer blind and everything else.
Well, good luck with that.
Mantrist. I think it would work.
Hey, maybe somebody listening
to
it will do it.
I'm sure I get sued instantly by Pinterest.
Yeah, right. Mantrist. That's the craziest thing I heard. Anyway, but no, Pinterest has great ideas on it. And so when you're trying to prepare your garden and design it and all that, that's where I really have geeked out over time because I've got a garden that I've set aside, and it's 24 by 36. It's 24 deep, 36 long. And so I've basically got a kind of a 1 foot.
Is that 24 feet or inches?
No, 24
I'm kidding.
24 feet by 36 feet. And so I've got kind of, and I get on a spreadsheet and I design kind of what this is going to look like, on my 1 by 1 grid, and I say, well, I'm going to have tomatoes here. I'm going to have zucchini here. I'm going to have okra here. And, on each of the seed packets that you have, they say a lot, 3 feet by 3 feet for this tomato plant or whatever, and you try to do that as best you can. And so it's fun. And then you go to Pinterest and you get other great ideas for, okay, well, here's a really cool way that I can design it, or here's how plants kind of like did you call it the three princesses?
Sisters.
Three sisters. There you go. They have ideas like that where you can lay out your garden, in a certain way. And I think that's cool. So I've geeked out, and I've tried it all kinds of ways.
Yeah. I did something similar with ours when I built those boxes. So I built boxes for raised beds out of that cedar stuff.
Right. No, those look.
But we did the same. So we took the square footage of each box and kind of laid out, we want herbs here, we want okra over here, and how many can we fit in, and all that kind of stuff. But downside is you don't have as much space with those boxes.
Right.
Whereas the way you do it is just till up the whole area and go to town.
No, that's what I end up pretty much doing every year.
Yeah.
I'll till the whole thing, and then I have my beautiful design, and I get out there with all my plant. Whether I'll buy the little bitty tomato plants, that are already started, or I'll have seeds. And I get out there and I start working this thing. And then the next thing, I have leftover seeds or plants. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't waste these because I'm too cheap. And so I just keep on going. And I'll instead of giving a 3x3 space, I'll give a 1.5 by 1.5 space. And then before you know it, I've got mayhem in the garden because it all grows and clusters all over each other. And it's not, it's not, anywhere close to what it should be as far as space allocation.
Have you ever started any seeds inside?
I have.
Yeah.
Amy gave me that seed starter kit one year.
With the lights and stuff.
Of which you gave her the idea.
Yeah. She was like, what should I get Kyle? Like, getting some of these lights to grow stuff.
So I've only done that twice. And I learned a pretty valuable lesson because if you start inside, and I had great success both times. The first time I failed because I didn't give, there's a term that's used, it's like hardening or something, but you basically have to transition the small plants outside so they can strengthen their roots to adapt to the wind. Yeah. Because in Texas, we have wind too. And if you just put them straight from the inside to the outside and plant them, then they don't have the strong roots to hold the plant up while to withstand the wind. And I did that the first year, and they basically all died. Some of them, maybe 30% lived. The second year I did it, I planted it, but I left a 2-week gap in there where I put them outside during the day, and then I came back and left them in the lights at night. And there was an 80-90% acceptance rate once I put them outside. And that was pretty good. And so I haven't done that. I could actually start planting right now, in mid-February. And they would be ready to go by Easter, and then I could harden them up or whatever the term is, plant them in the ground, and I'll have plants that are anywhere from 6 to 12 inches high, depending on what plant it is. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That'd be cool.
And then it kind of shotguns you forward so that you're not waiting for. And then there's this thing about phasing in, so that what drives me crazy is I'll put everything out on the first available time that the Farmer's Almanac tells me, but then I don't wave it in 3 weeks later so that I have a harvest come in and then another harvest and another harvest. The really good gardeners do it that way, where they layer it in, and I don't do that. I just blast it out there and I wait, and then all my beans kind of fry out in a month, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm out of beans, Anyway. And then
are people intrigued that you work with about the gardening stuff?
No,
other people do it.
This will be the least listened to episode.
Dude,
ever.
I was talking. This was a couple years ago. I was in our office in Mountain View, and we had a new inside sales rep there, and she was just kind of asking me about, oh, you're from Texas, what do you do? I told her about the garden. She's like, oh wow, that's so cool, And this was when we were, a couple years ago when we were growing some stuff.
No.
I completely forgot about this conversation. I mean, it was just like one of those conversations in my mind out, never even thought about it again.
Really?
I went to the office about 2 months later, and this same person, was kind of talking casually, and she says, so have you grown any good stuff lately?
Oh. She actually locked in.
No, but I had no idea what she's talking about.
Oh.
I forgot that I'd had this conversation.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, what, are you asking me for drugs or something? Like,
I grow marijuana.
I did. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, no, you told me about the garden. Yeah, I totally forgot about that conversation.
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah, I was just like, what? What are you talking? Hey, have you grown any good stuff lately? What the heck?
I'm sure we could grow some of that, but
that was a little weird.
Yeah.
But we laugh about that now. Every time I see her now, she's like, "You got any good stuff lately?"
Yeah. No, and then I know we've struggled with the automatic water systems and all that, and I've created these automatic watering systems out of PVC, and I'm the worst plumber in the world, but I've tried a bunch of different things. And so I've got a system out there of PVC, and I've got auto waters, and it turns on, and sometimes in the Texas heat, I'll get it going once in the morning at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for like 8 or 10 minutes and just give a nice douse. I mean, at the grocery store they do that. They douse their plants, and so I'm like, I'll do that too.
No, but your biggest issue has been grasshoppers.
Oh, Lord. Yes. So I'm really pretty bad about fertilizers and pesticide and all that. But anyway, several years ago, I had kind of a plague happen, and I don't know what the deal was, if it was a drought or whatever, but now June 8th of every year is my most hated day ever because
that was the day.
June 8th, every day, every year, those little devils come out. Those grasshoppers. I'm talking about grasshoppers. They come out, and they're just itty-bitty, and they just look little cute, little grasshoppers, and then all of a sudden they get to be these giant,
I remember you calling me because that was the same year that we had a pretty decent garden going. I didn't have any grasshoppers at all. And I remember you calling me, and you're like, man, we got grasshoppers everywhere. I'm like, well, they'll go. You're like, no, you don't understand. There are hundreds of thousands of grasshoppers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were exaggerating until I went over there and saw it for myself.
No.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Because we had to get our family beach trip to Destin like on June 9th or something.
Right.
They came out on June 8th.
On June 8th.
You came over and were helping me because there's these organic things, and we were trying to do organic pepper sprays. It was a pepper spray.
It was a pepper spray because I was out there spraying this peppers, which was just raw jalapeno juice.
You got it on your hands or face or anything.
The label's like, do not get on your skin.
And I did. I
was out there like a dummy, blowing it into the 40 mile an hour Argyle wind. Just this stuff's blowing all back on me, and I'm like, man, it's a little warm out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I go look in the mirror, and my skin was red. It was absolutely ridiculous, and those grasshoppers did not give a crap about the pepper spray at all. They were like, peppers, we love peppers. Thanks. Thanks for the hydration. They're making us stronger.
That's right.
It was ridiculous.
They ate it like hot sauce. Seriously. It
was garlic and pepper spray.
No,
I remember that.
I remember I got it, and I had a good 2-inch grasshopper right at my foot. I tore his leg off just so he wouldn't jump away. And then I just direct sprayed that right in his face. Like 10 seconds.
And he just laughed at you.
He laughed, licked his lips.
Then he grew a new leg.
Jumped over to my favorite tomato plant and ate it. It was awful.
That was horrible. I've never seen anything like that before or since. I don't think it's ever been that bad since, has it?
No, not quite. The last year was pretty good. And then I'm hoping and praying that we've had a really hard winter this year.
Yeah.
Where we've had it in the 20s for lengthy periods of times. And even we had it in single digits for a long time, which was good.
That kills out all that stuff, doesn't it?
Ticks and grasshoppers and mosquitoes. It kills them. So that's awesome. But
now you got your chicken moat around the garden too.
Yes.
That helps.
I built the chicken run last year. Cole helped me build the chicken run, and so that's a chicken wire thing that literally is a moat, and I have my chickens run around that, and and again, found it on Pinterest. Thank you, Pinterest, or Mantrist, whatever.
It's not Mantrist.
Yeah, so I found it because the whole theory is those little devil grasshoppers at some point they're going to try to hop across, and all my little ninja chickens, they go and eat them. I just want them to eat them dead. I don't.
I remember when you were having that issue. You're like, "Hey, man, can I come get one of your chickens? Just let it loose in my garden for a while."
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think it'll eat your tomatoes, but
I don't care if it eats any grasshoppers. That's good. I just hate them.
Eat your tomatoes and get eaten by a hawk. But,
so Kevin tried to get me to stay organic, but I just couldn't do it.
There's no way.
You
had to go non-organic.
I went nuclear and toxic and all that, and you can't put that nasty stuff on your actual fruits and vegetables. You got to be real careful, but you can spray it on the ground and on the
Even if you get some on your fruits and vegetables, you're way more organic than what you're getting at the grocery store.
Oh, Lord,
even with some of that on there.
You know what? Lord knows what I ate as a kid, because my grandmother used to say, "Oh yeah, I put a little 7 Dust out there." 7 Dust is about as toxic as you can get. And I think I ate all that.
But what you're buying at the grocery store now is 1,000 times worse than that.
Yeah, probably so.
Dude, have you seen those guys? They have full body armor gear and gas masks on out there spraying all that crap. I'm serious, man.
That's terrible.
Look it up. That's why they modify them. They genetically modify a lot of these plants so that they don't die from Roundup.
Oh my gosh!
And so then they can just blast Roundup, gallons of it, all over the plants and kill all the weeds. But the plant has been genetically modified not to.
Oh my gosh! I didn't.
So when you hear about GMOs, that's what it is.
Oh, that's terrible.
And so the actual GMO itself is not that bad. It's just the fact that you're eating food that has been, basically soaked in gallons of Roundup for months at a time.
That's terrible.
That's pretty toxic.
Hey, you said people geek out on you being a gardener when you talk about it. No, what I found is people geek out on me when I say that I'm a beekeeper. Mm-hmm. They geek out hard on that. They think it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So as a transition, let me go over to a quick ranch update. Is that okay with you?
Sure. Green Acres update.
Yeah, that's not annoying at all, that little drop.
It's so appropriate, though.
I know, but I do like Green Acres. So I have a few updates on this from the ranch. Number one, Patrick and Kathy and I, my neighbors, they came over this morning and we did it. We castrated the bull calf.
Just one of them?
Yeah. Okay. So
you got two of them, right?
Listen to this. So I got two calves.
Oh, one of them wasn't a bull?
Well, hold on. You're jumping to conclusions here.
Okay.
So we get down, we tackle this one, we rope it and tackle it, and we think the mama cow is going to kill us, but we get it done, and we get the rubber band on the things for the one, and we even tag its ear. And so we get rid of the one, the big one, and it runs back to mama, and it's good. And then we have the little one come in.
And why'd you tag its ear?
Well, I think you're supposed to. I don't know. Kathy and Patrick told me to, so I did. So it's fine. so one's 7.
Nice little earring on it.
Well, no, one's number 7 and one's 13. So, and both of my mama, they're both 67. I don't know why. But anyway, 7 and 13. So I'll be like, hey, there's 7 and there's 13. So
Seb.
That's right.
What's the name of that calf? Seb.
So anyway, we tackle the little one, and we'd rope her, and then I tackle her, and I'm laying on her, and Patrick's getting ready with the little rubber band thing to castrate it, and Kathy's like, those are little udders, Kyle. I'm like, no. Anyway, I'm so embarrassed. I missexed my little baby calf.
Cow?
Yeah, so she's a cow. Isn't that awful?
I mean, you can missex a chicken pretty easily, but
I missexed a cow.
A cow?
But anyway, I'm so embarrassed about it. That's how horrible I am. But anyway, we took care of that, and oh gosh. So anyway, that was wonderful that we got that behind us. And
now, okay, tell me the process. So, is it done?
It's done. Well, no, you have the rubber band around the things, and they just rot off.
Well, that sounds painful.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine. Yeah, that's it. That's all we do. I just check them. I guess I check them every once in a while, make sure they're all still rubber banded up. But eventually, they'll just fall off.
Amy's going to do that to you one of these days.
Probably should. But anyway, okay. So update number 2. Today, I spent with my boys. We spent the better part of the day putting a giant kind of net over my yard, my chicken yard, because I've lost 2 more chickens. Remember the
Hawks.
first?
Yeah.
I think it's hawks or a bobcat, but I think it's hawks because what's going on is there's no feathers at all. They're just gone. And the first one that I lost, so that's 3 in the last 3 weeks that I've lost. And so I had a puff of feathers with the one, and so that was a raccoon or a bobcat. And then the last 2, I think, are just gone, and I think that's a hawk. So I put a big net up over my entire chicken yard. Which
you didn't have a hawknado incident, did you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, so hopefully this helps, and I'm only down to 6 chickens now, so I got to revamp up. So
yep, well, it's that time of year.
Well, we're going to get them together. I'm going to get you 36 new chickens, and I'm going to get about 6 new chickens.
I don't know if I need 36.
I think you do. I think Kendra, she'll like that.
I'll let Kendra make the call.
Then let me tell you my third and final ranch update.
Well, you know the hawknado story, though.
I was here moments after it happened.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No, Amy showed up. My wife showed up at the hawknado, and there were 2. I think Amy told us there were 2 hawks that were coming in and just literally obliterating your chicken flock.
I was in California.
Yeah. And we were taking care of the chickens in the house and all that.
Right. And what happened was, I guess Kendra was not around.
No, I think she was just gone. She asked Amy to go over and check on something.
So I was in California, and I get a call from Kendra, I think through Amy, saying your horses are loose. that was what happened first.
Oh, yeah, that was a big deal, too.
I got a call saying the horses are out. I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Because apparently
was that the same day?
The same day. So here's the sequence of events. So I'm in California. I get a call saying the horses are out because the old couple that was delivering our hay apparently couldn't close the gate, left the gate open.
I remember that. They got all the way out to 407.
Yeah. So as that's going on, which I think that's why you ended up getting called over or something, or maybe that was even a different time. But this happened in one day because I remember getting another call.
I think Hawknado happened first in the day.
It happened the same day.
I got that call because Amy got over here and she sees the two. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were amazing. I mean, I wished I could have seen it, but she calls me and she's like, "Get over here."
So that was the sequence because I know these were sequenced because I was in a meeting and I get this call and I was thinking it was the horses, but I guess it was the hawks first.
No, it was Hawknado first.
I get a call saying your chickens are being eaten by hawks.
Yes.
Because then I get another call because I remember the reaction on my boss's face because he's overhearing me on the cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and the horses escaped too.
No, yeah.
So in the same day,
that was later.
Half of our chickens get eaten by hawks, and then the horses get out and they're running down the freeway.
Oh, and the hawks, they just gutted and moved to the next.
Yeah.
Gut and move on. Gut and move on.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
So we cleaned all that up, and I go home, and then literally a few hours later, when it got dark, somebody said the horses are out. So we went. All of us went with the ropes and all that, and Caroline on a horse, and we got them back in. But they were on 407.
Yeah.
It was very scary.
I was out of town. It was scary.
That was a bad one.
That was a bad day.
When you get horses next to a highway, that's a bad.
That was bad.
Yeah, that's a bad deal.
That's the second time that had happened.
Yeah. So
the other one was when we were in, was it Thailand? We had a chicken die. Y'all were taking care of the chickens.
Yeah.
That was the first one we ever had die.
Yeah, that kind of microwaved itself. I really hated making that call.
That guy was sitting out in your
loafing shed.
The loafing shed.
And he kind of microwaved himself. It was 110 degrees here.
Couldn't get back to get water.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you, because y'all were like, this was our first chicken we ever lost. Y'all were thinking it was like a pet to us or something.
Oh,
You're like, it feels so bad. I'm like,
we felt terrible.
Yeah. I was like, it's just a stupid chicken. And now that you own chickens, you know, it's just a stupid chicken.
Well, yeah, but in 3 weeks. But yeah, no, that one was microwave.
But I remember saying, you were like, well, I just had to dispose of it. And I'm like, well, what did you do with it? You're like, well, it was already kind of in rigor mortis, so I just put it on the roof of the Tahoe, and then I drove out and threw it out in the pasture somewhere.
Yeah. Across from Cranky's place. It's real thick back there. I was telling Kathy and Patrick about that today. Anything dead, I just throw it in it's real thick and stuff just gets it.
Yeah, you just throw it over there.
Anyway, so let me tell you my third and final thing. So we had and this was horrible with a horse. We had a horrible horse accident this week. And it was with Harper, our 5-year-old, and it was, and she survived, and it's miraculous that she survived. So 10 o'clock, about 5 nights ago, I get this call from my daughter. She's out feeding and putting the horses up and whatever, and she is hysterical, beside herself. And so I go running, and so I know something terrible has happened. So I go running. It's cold out there, but I throw a coat on as I'm running out. And I get out there with a flashlight, and I see what she's looking at. And it's Harper, our 5-year-old, and she's 1,300 pounds. She's a big horse. She had somehow been, I don't know how she did it, but she had probably kind of play fighting with the horse across the fence. But she'd raised up, and she got her front left hoof caught in the gate that's 4.5 feet up, and it got it caught in that and in between a little nook where a gate is, and she had fallen over, and she was on the ground with her leg and her foot caught up there, and her feet were under the fence, and she was laying there. And so I thought, oh, my Lord, she has broken her leg. We're about to put this horse down.
Was it a little tiny gap up in the top of
There was a gap about 6 inches big,
Ooh.
And it was about 8 inches deep. And she had somehow lodged her foot in there, and instead of it snapping off, somehow it didn't snap. And she fell over, and then we found her, and I think she'd been there for 45 minutes or an hour or so. And so, again, my neighbor Kathy got out there, or Amy and the boys got out there to help, and we had to literally and so Caroline and Amy were just calming the horse down to keep it still, because we didn't want that horse to move at all. And literally we had to, me, Kathy, and Cole got the fence unscrewed and pulled it out, and then I was able to dislodge the hoof. And by then, our old country vet, Dr. Shepard, had come over. We'd called and said, please get her as soon as you can, because we thought at that point we're going to have to put this horse down with a broken leg. But anyway, Doc Shepard got there, and this is 10:30 at night. And so sure enough, he drugged her. We were able to pull her back, flip her over. After she kind of came to, she popped up. The foot, it stuck, it was okay, and she wobbled off, and we've kept her kind of in captivity for the last 5 days.
Wow, man. Smart horse.
It was, yeah, if she'd been a, crazy, agitatable horse versus a very calm, chill horse, which she is, but I guess she knew, she's like, well, somebody's going to come out here pretty quick and help me. But it's a miracle she didn't break her foot. And it was very scary for us.
So can you cover up that gap in the fence? Put some wire up there?
I can't. I don't know how I could.
Like one of those wire panels from Tractor Supply?
Maybe, but it was just such a freak accident. And, Dr. Shepard, to his credit, he's always told me, he said, Kyle, horses are two things. They're homicidal or suicidal all the time. They're trying to hurt something or hurt themselves all the time. And they do that. I mean, and I know your horses are gentle and they typically don't, but, mine are crazy. And they just, if there's a chance for them to hurt themselves, they do. So, anyway, we're blessed that we still have Harper, and she looks
had something years ago with Elvis getting tied up in some barbed wire.
Yeah.
And because he was calm, he made it out okay.
Oh, he made it, but I'm telling you, I just knew we were going to put that horse down right there. It was so awful. It was.
Happy ending.
It is a happy ending. So she's up and running now.
Yeah.
So not running, but she's recovering.
So how are the bees doing?
Oh, the bees are just buzzing along.
Yeah.
They were out today.
You fed them? Fed them their syrup?
No, I'm feeding them tomorrow. I fed them about 5 days ago. So we're good. Yeah, we're good. We're getting through. So, all right. Well, hey, I think that's it for this week's episode, gardening.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
I got to get busy out there.
Well, it's time to
get some stuff planted.
Get your winter crop in and plant indoors if you want to. Read the Farmer's Almanac, know when to go. Anyway, so
there should be an app. I'm sure there's a Farmer's Almanac app at this point.
Nah, they don't believe in that. They're old school.
I'll just use Alexa. Alexa, what should I plant?
Somebody's Alexa's going off right now.
I love doing that on these. It fires up thousands of Alexas simultaneously because of all the thousands of listeners that we have on it.
You mean four. So, yeah. Thank you, four buddies. So, we appreciate that. Okay, well, thank you all for listening, and again, subscribe to us on a bunch of different areas. Google Play, Spreaker.
We're on Google Play now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes.
I don't know how to use any of those, but that's amazing. So
sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Hey, y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Adios.